So I hear the internet is out, but I'm hopeful that some of you have your phone or something with access and you'll be able to see this, or you can see this later. But for 7th grade art, um, we will briefly discuss NOTAN next class, but essentially you're going to do what we did with the practice. If you choose that project, you're going to go into more detail. If you are choosing to do the Zentangle project, then you really have to pay attention to this. But regardless, you're going to need to do the Zentangle practice today as your classwork on May 20th. So you'll need a white piece of paper and you're going to measure it. And these directions are also in the project selection, but I'm just going to model it for my visual learners. So you're going to have, remember before we did the square where we bent the corner? It's a little bit trickier with hard paper, so this one's a little too hard for me to do. So I'm looking at about 3.5 inches for the Zentangle to create the square. And these directions are also in the project selection, and I'll put them in the announcement that this will probably be with, okay? It's a small square, it's really small. So, excuse me. So 3.5 inches, if that's too hard to measure for you, 4 inches works. Okay, so then the next thing you're going to do is you're going to cut it out because you're going to be able or need to turn the square around often. You'll write your name on it. Okay, and then you'll flip it over. Now, at this point, I would stop you. We do our deep breaths in your nose and purse your lips and blow out. Like I said, that to the cohort A, you're imagining that you're blowing like a little tiny mouse away, and that little breath is catching its ears and it's moving the mouth back. And you're going to do that 3 times or more until you're calm. In class, I will play calming meditative music, as you'll find out that is the Zen and Zentangle. Then you're going to put 4 dots, and these are going to be for our border. So I'm going to use an organic line. You can use a geometric or organic, whatever you want. But we want to make sure there's a good amount of space on the edge. We're not going to put any artwork on the outside of that. So we just want it to be a nice white edge. You can do a combination of geometric and organic. So there's geometric, that's a little more organic. It's your call, what you want to do. If you want them all geometric, that's fine. But the point is, don't make it boring. Make it interesting. Make it have more than just a straight line, okay? So if you're feeling anxious, let that go. You're working with a black pen. We usually use Artline pens, but any ink pen will work. Black ink pen, the Sharpie gels are awesome. Sharpie fine point works too. Then you're going to draw what's called the string, and it needs to touch on at least 2 sides. I usually like to try mine to go for all the sides. Then the next thing that we're doing, this is unplanned, has to be abstract, meaning it's not supposed to look like anything. It might accidentally look like something like this kind of accidentally looks like a weird ghost or whatever. But it isn't to be planned or intentional with it, okay? It's all abstract. So starting out, we're not talking, we're calm. Our first thing is we're going to go from the string, and you can draw whatever doodly type thing you want, lines, shapes, okay? And while you're doing this, you're not talking, you're not looking. If you mess up, it doesn't matter. You just change it into something else. It's not actually a mistake. It's just a new opportunity for you to create something strange or wonderful or unique, okay? So today in class, this is our practice. You will go on to this. If you choose this, then you'll do this for the final project for space. Okay, and you can slowly color in and keep adding lines and detail. And after you've done a couple that are attached to the string, you can have pieces that are no longer attached. What we're focusing on as we're creating this is filling that negative space with shapes. So to give enough visual interest, you want to kind of stay tiny for a lot of it. And that's why we practice it, so that you can get the concept. And there's no planning, so this isn't one where you're like, okay, I watched a tutorial on how to do Zentangle. No, this is whatever in your nature, God created, explosion created, whatever, verb, noun, brain, it's dumped here. So the key factors, you don't go outside the border. You can add and thicken lines and color in, but you're trying to start from the string and fill in. And you're going to take your time filling almost all of the negative space that you can. And you don't want to be rushed. If you're doing it quickly or you're in a noisy space, it just will, to be honest, will come out like trash. It'll look anxious. It'll look noisy, if you will. It'll have a visually stressful look. But if you're calm, you're listening to calm music, preferably ones without lyrics, it'll turn out calm and interesting. And sometimes it'll start to look like things that you didn't intend to. Like mine's looking kind of intergalactic, if you ask me. And then there's like a little, I don't know, airplane, paper airplane on this one that I did earlier. That's fine. But we want to try not to plan for it to look like something, okay? So this one has negative space to fill here, 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 and all around here, and even in those little spots if I so choose. So this is about, I would say, 30 more minutes of work. This is about 45 more minutes of work. It's a small piece, but you're working small, filling in that negative space, okay? For the project, you're going to turn in, if you choose Zentangle for your project, you're going to turn in 2 of these completed. They cannot be the ones you do for practice. So you'll do 1 today in class or reinforcement activities, and then 2 for the project. So that's, you'll have at least 3. What's nice about that is you can choose which ones you want for the project grade and which one just counts for the practice. Okay? All right. I'll see you next week, I believe. Take care.